The morning Rajesh walked out of their small apartment in Mumbai's Andheri district, he didn't say goodbye to his daughters. He simply left a note on the kitchen table, weighed down by an empty coffee mug that still bore the lipstick stain of his late wife. "I can't do this anymore. Take care of each other." 12-year-old Priya found the note first. She stood there in her school uniform, her younger sister Maya's tiffin box in one hand and the crumpled paper in the other, trying to make sense of words that would fracture their world completely. "Didi, where's Papa?" 8-year-old Maya asked, emerging from their shared bedroom with her hair half-braided. "He was supposed to finish my hair today." Priya looked at her sister's innocent face and felt something inside her harden. Their mother had died 18 months ago from cancer, a slow and painful departure that had drained not just their savings but their father's spirit. But they had survived it together. Or so Priya had thought. "He had to go somewhere," Priya lied, tucking the note into her school bag. "Come here, I'll do your hair." But fathers don't just disappear for a day. Days turned into a week, and the week turned into a nightmare of unpaid rent, dwindling food supplies, and terrified whispers in the dark. "Do you think he's coming back?" Maya asked one night, clutching her mother's old dupatta like a security blanket. Priya wanted to say yes. She wanted to promise that their father would walk through that door any moment, apologizing for his absence, gathering them in his arms. But she had found his passport missing from the drawer, his clothes gone from the cupboard, his presence erased from their lives as deliberately as one might delete a photograph. "I don't know," Priya whispered, and that honesty hurt more than any lie could have. Hashtag Part 2. The grandfather they'd never known it was the building's watchman, Uncle Sharma, who suggested calling their grandfather. "Your Dada lives in Pune, no?" he asked Priya one evening, his eyes filled with concern. "Your landlord is asking about the rent 3 weeks now, beta." Priya had only met her paternal grandfather twice in her life. Dada and Papa had quarreled years ago over something nobody would explain to the children. Her grandfather had opposed Papa's marriage to Mama, who came from a different caste. The wounds had never healed, and pride had built walls between them that seemed insurmountable. "He won't come," Priya said quietly. "He and Papa don't talk. He may not talk to your father," Uncle Sharma said gently, "but you are his blood too. Call him." That night, with trembling fingers, Priya dialed the number Uncle Sharma had helped her find through directory assistance. The phone rang 4 times before a gruff voice answered. "Hello? Dada?" Priya's voice cracked. "This is Priya, your granddaughter." The silence on the other end stretched so long that Priya thought he'd hung up. Then she heard a sharp intake of breath. "Priya, Rajesh's daughter? Yes, Dada, we need help. Papa is gone." She told him everything then. The note, the missing passport, the unpaid rent, the fear that had become their constant companion. She told him how Maya cried herself to sleep every night and how she herself had stopped eating because she needed to save food for her sister. She told him the truth that pride couldn't disguise. They were alone, and they were terrified. When she finished, Dada was quiet for a long moment. "I will be there tomorrow," he said finally, his voice rough with emotion. "Pack your important things. You're coming to Pune." Hashtag Part 3. The journey to Pune. Ramesh Kulkarni arrived in Mumbai the next morning on the first train from Pune. Priya saw him from the balcony, a tall, thin man with white hair and a weathered face, arguing with an auto driver about the fare. Even in that small gesture, she saw traces of her father. When he climbed the stairs to their third-floor apartment, his eyes swept over every detail: the peeling paint, the threadbare furniture, the refrigerator running on fumes. But when he looked at his granddaughters, something in his expression softened completely. Maya hid behind Priya, uncertain of this stranger who shared her bloodline but not her memories. "So you're Maya," Dada said, lowering himself to her eye level. "Your grandmother would have loved to meet you. You have her eyes." "We have a grandmother?" Maya asked, peeking out from behind Priya. "You had one," Dada said softly. "She passed away 3 years ago. She used to ask about you girls all the time, showed everyone pictures your father sent in the early years, before—" He trailed off, swallowing hard. "Before everything went wrong between us." He stood up and looked at Priya. At 12, she'd been forced to become an adult, carrying responsibilities that should never have been hers. The weight of it showed in her eyes. "You've been very brave," he told her, "but you don't have to be brave alone anymore." They left Mumbai that evening. Uncle Sharma helped carry their few bags to the taxi, pressing an envelope into Priya's hands. "From the building society," he said. "We took a collection, for school fees and such." Priya tried to refuse, but he closed her fingers around it. "Your mother was a good woman, kind to everyone. Let us honor her memory by caring for her daughters." The train journey to Pune was Maya's first. She pressed her face against the window, watching Mumbai's sprawling cityscape give way to smaller towns and green fields. For the first time in weeks, there was wonder in her eyes instead of fear. Dada bought them dinner from the pantry car, samosas and chai that tasted like normalcy. "Why did you and Papa fight?" Priya asked suddenly. The question had been burning in her mind since the phone call. Dada set down his tea, his jaw tightening. "Pride," he said finally. "Stubborn, foolish pride on both sides. I thought I knew what was best for your father. I couldn't see past caste, past tradition. I said terrible things about your mother when they wanted to marry. But Mama was wonderful," Maya said softly. "I know that now," Dada replied, his voice heavy with regret. "I learned it too late to tell her. I learned it too late to fix things with your father. Don't make my mistakes, children. Don't let pride rob you of the people you love." Part 4. A new beginning in Pune. Dada's house in Pune was nothing like their cramped Mumbai apartment. It was a modest two-bedroom home in a quiet colony, with a small garden where jasmine bloomed and a mango tree that promised summer sweetness. "This was your father's room," Dada said, opening a door to reveal a space frozen in time. Cricket posters still hung on the walls, books lined the shelves. A photograph of a teenage Rajesh, laughing with friends, sat on the desk. Maya touched the photo carefully. "Papa looks happy here." "He was," Dada said, "before I drove him away with my rigidity and judgment." Over the following weeks, a routine emerged. Dada enrolled the girls in a nearby school, using his pension and the money from selling his wife's jewelry to cover fees and buy uniforms. He learned to braid Maya's hair, though his thick fingers struggled with the complexity of it. He helped Priya with her math homework, discovered she had her grandmother's talent for sketching, and encouraged her to keep drawing. But there were hard moments too. Maya had nightmares where she called for her father, waking up crying and inconsolable. Priya sometimes found Dada sitting in the garden late at night, staring at old photo albums, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. "Do you think Papa will ever come back?" Priya asked him one such night. Dada looked at her with honest eyes. "I don't know, Beta. Your father ran from pain he couldn't face. Maybe he'll find the strength to return. Maybe he won't, but I promise you this, you will never be abandoned again. Not while I draw breath." Part 5. Understanding and Forgiveness. 3 months after they'd moved to Pune, a letter arrived. It bore a Singapore postmark in Rajesh's handwriting. Dada gave it to Priya unopened. "It's addressed to you and your sister. What you do with it is your choice." Priya read it aloud to Maya that night. Their father wrote of his cowardice, his breakdown, his inability to be the parent they deserved after losing their mother. He wrote that he'd found work in Singapore, that he was getting counseling, that he sent money to Dada's account for their care. He wrote that he understood if they hated him. "I don't hate him," Maya said, wiping her eyes, "but I don't understand why he had to leave." "Sometimes," Dada said from the doorway, "people break in ways we can't see. Your father broke when your mother died. He couldn't face his grief and his responsibility at the same time. It doesn't make what he did right, but perhaps it makes it human." "You forgave him," Priya observed, "even after everything." "I forgave him," Dada agreed, "because I finally understood that love isn't about being right, it's about being present. I wasn't present for your father when he needed me to accept his choices. He isn't present for you now when you need him to be strong. We've both failed, but perhaps we can both learn to do better." He sat beside them on the bed. "I can't replace your father and I can't bring back your mother, but I can be here. I can make sure you have food, shelter, education. I can teach you to be stronger than our family's legacy of pride and stubbornness. I can love you the way I should have loved your father, unconditionally, without judgment. Maya climbed into his lap, something she'd been shy about doing before. I'm glad you came for us, Dada. I'm glad you called me, he whispered into her hair. You saved me as much as I saved you. This house was so lonely without family in it, without purpose. You girls gave me a reason to keep going. #Epilogue, the threads that bind. 2 years later, Priya stood first in her class. She'd written an essay about resilience and family that won a state-level competition. At the award ceremony, Dada sat in the front row, his eyes shining with pride. Maya had made the school dance team and discovered a love for classical music. She sang around the house now, filling it with melodies that made the grief feel less heavy. They still heard from their father occasionally. His letters came more regularly now, filled with apologies and small stories from his life in Singapore. He sent money for their education and gifts for their birthdays. He'd started therapy and was, he wrote, learning to forgive himself so he could become worthy of your forgiveness. Whether he would ever return, they didn't know. But they'd learned that family isn't just about who stays. It's also about who comes back, who shows up, who chooses love over pride. One evening, as they sat in the garden watching fireflies, Maya asked Dada a question that had been on her mind. If Papa does come back someday, will you let him into the house? Dada was quiet for a moment, considering. Then he smiled, a sad, hopeful smile. This is his home as much as it is yours, he said. The door was never really closed. Pride just made us all pretend it was. If he comes back, if he's ready to be the father you deserve, then yes. Always yes. And if he's not ready, Priya asked, then you have me, Dada said simply. And sometimes, the family we build is just as strong as the family we're born with. Sometimes, it's even stronger. They sat together in the gathering dusk, 3 souls bound by blood and choice, by loss and survival, by the simple truth that love, real, present, unconditional love, can heal even the deepest wounds. Perhaps fathers sometimes leave. Perhaps grandfathers sometimes arrive. Perhaps the story isn't about who abandons us, but about who chooses to stay, and who we become in the spaces between abandonment and acceptance. And in that small garden in Pune, with jasmine blooming and a mango tree promising sweetness to come, 3 hearts continue to heal one day at a time. The end.